The council chamber of Telvaris buzzed with synthetic calm, too smooth, too polished like a lie wrapped in protocol. Rows of shimmering species sat in silence, their eyes flicking toward the center dais where a flickering holotransmission sputtered with static. Please, if anyone still hears this is Colony Juno, our shields are collapsing. They're inside. The signal cut. Again. For the 5th time. Counselor Varnex of the Drelin swarm leaned back, his segmented mandibles twitching with impatience. A death cry, he muttered. Let it fade. Counselor Illyra of the Shadari, Fold tilted her head. Humans colonized that world, didn't they? Someone scoffed. If you can call what they do colonizing, no infrastructure, no diplomacy, just mining and stubbornness. Another murmur rose. Laughter. Shrugged. Wings. Clicked teeth. Dismissal. But then, the chamber lights flickered. A small red light blinked on the ancient relay map. Sector V913. An obsolete communication buoy had unexpectedly lit up and redirected the SOS. Someone leaned forward. Where is it going? Silence. Then a whisper from the tech clerk. Earth. The chamber froze. No one laughed this time. Earth had been silent for a century. No diplomats, no ships at trade ports, no noise. The last ambassador left without a word, and no one ever dared ask why. They won't answer, Varnex said quickly, his voice brittle. But the light stayed on, pulsing, repeating. Somewhere in Sol system, a room beneath the Martian crust lit up, one by one, old consoles humming with stored rage. Dust stirred over dormant engines, and a voice, flat, human, mechanical, crackled to life. Signal verified. Human colony protocol, total response. Hydraulics hissed. Giant clamps released. Deep beneath the planet's core, gears spun that hadn't moved since the Exodus Wars. A figure walked into the light, tall, armored, limping slightly. She touched the panel. We built these for the end, she muttered. The AI responded. The end never came, but now. They've asked again, her eyes glinted. Then wake the black engines, all of them. Back in the council chamber, Illyra felt something twist in her gut. It was just a relay, she whispered, uncertain. But Varnex's hands were trembling. Earth didn't just receive that signal. He turned to face the silent map now glowing, with red pulses across Sol. They understood it, and that was before Earth even responded. Mars had been a graveyard, or so the galaxy believed. No civilian broadcasts, no trade, no movement, just dust storms, quiet satellites, and an eerie silence that swallowed every scan like a void. Until now. Deep beneath Olympus Mons, 10 kilometers down, a door opened that hadn't opened in 2 centuries. Steam hissed. Pressure dropped. Magnetic. Rails began humming across an entire underground continent. They called it the Catacomb Network, Earth's final contingency, buried after the last war not out of fear, but out of shame. In the silence, a command repeated, Operation Iron Wake. Activate Unit Series, Leviathan. Steel groaned. And then, from the darkness it moved, massive, each toe the size of a starfighter, covered in battle scars. Some said the machines had minds of their own. Others claimed they had hearts made of fission and hatred. They hadn't seen war in over 100 years, but war had found them. From orbit, a Valari scout ship hovered just above Mars, unaware. The alien pilot, Klikra, frowned at the E. New surface readings. There's seismic activity on Olympus Mons, he said, clicking his mandibles nervously. And power readings, very old ones. His partner, Rule, barely glanced up. Earth's relics probably malfunctioning. That planet hasn't had a fleet since the fall of Tyrus. Klikra narrowed his eyes. And yet, why does it feel like we just woke something up? Suddenly the scanner pinged. Below, the Martian surface cracked open like a wound, and out of the smoke rose a silhouette. No wings, No light trails, no elegance, just armor. Massive. Brutal. Alive. Rule's voice faltered. What? What is that? Klikra zoomed in. The thing stared back up at them. It wasn't transmitting. It wasn't warning. It wasn't asking questions. It was watching. Inside the Leviathan, Commander Alara Brand stood at the main control helm, hand resting on the ignition crystal. Status, she asked. Her AI replied, tone low, smooth, and ancient. We are fully operational. All 17 black engines await final command. Time since last deployment? 131 years, Commander. She stared out the viewport, as more Leviathans emerged from the Martian depths like gods returning from exile. Then let's remind them what Earth buried, and why. The AI responded with one word, old and terrible: unshackle. In orbit, Klikra's voice shook. They're activating more. Rule stepped back from the controls. We need to warn the Council. Klikra didn't move. They mocked Earth for going silent, he whispered. Rule glanced at him. What are you saying? Klikra's voice cracked with something alien to his kind. Fear. I think Earth wasn't quiet because it died. He turned to face his partner. I think Earth was quiet because it was waiting. The Grand Council Hall of Veltraxis had not heard shouting in decades. Now it roared with panic. Dozens of alien species, each more regal, advanced, or bloated with self-importance than the last, argued beneath the shimmering banners of unity. Translations overlapped. Accusations flew. The holographic feed from Mars repeated on loop above them. A Martian mountain splitting, a black machine rising, a glowing human eye staring up from its armored skull. Counselor Malvek of the Siruni Empire slammed a clawed hand onto the conference table. This is a bluff. Ancient tech malfunctioning. The humans haven't been a threat since the Tyrus collapse. And yet, Illyra of the Shadari Fold countered, her voice icy. Their machines are older than the Council itself, and still function. Then we destroy them now, barked someone from the Ogren Enclave. Mars is unarmed. A swift strike. No war. No war? Illyra laughed bitterly. You think those things rising on Mars are for show? They weren't. Built for defense. The hologram shifted more Leviathans, now 27, each one walking, scanning, aligning, and none of them retreating. Beneath the storm of arguments, one counselor sat in silence. Old, small, almost forgotten. He hadn't spoken in years. But now, Elder Rin of the Talmari rose slowly. The room fell quiet. Even the hologram seemed to dim. You call them primitives, Rin said softly. But I was there, when they first arrived. He took a breath. They didn't boast. They didn't threaten. They listened. He looked at the Martian feed, and when the Conclave tried to enslave one of their colonies, they didn't send ambassadors. Someone chuckled. We remember. They sent a storm. No, Rin whispered. They were the storm. In a quiet corner of the galaxy, the human listening station aboard Lunar Relay 9 sat mostly abandoned. Corporal Dax Yurev had just woken from cryosleep. He rubbed his eyes, squinting at the alert message blinking across his dusty console. Leviathan protocol activated? He muttered. That can't be right. A second alert followed. Confirm broadcast to Allied systems? Dax hesitated. Earth hadn't broadcast in decades. Most thought the relay systems were dead. He exhaled and pressed yes. The machine asked again. Are you sure? Dax whispered to no one. They've already asked once. That should have been enough. He hit confirm. Back at the council, silence reigned once more as the final image flickered into view. A Leviathan standing atop Olympus Monsdet raised a single hand and pointed upward, straight toward the stars. Someone in the chamber whispered, Is that a declaration? No, Illyra answered grimly. That's a warning. Hidden beneath the frozen oceans of Europa sealed behind magnetic vaults and encryption so old it bordered on myth. A system flickered to life. A pulse, a scan, a question. Is the Black Star still required? There was no reply. Just a signal. Ancient, undeniable, echoing from Mars. The old machines had moved. That meant the chain was active again. Which meant it was time. High above Europa, the research outpost designated Argon Halo received a single command line through its deepest secure channel. Unchain, Omega Doctor. Naeem Voss dropped his datapad. He hadn't seen that command in his entire 20-year career. No one had. It wasn't supposed to exist anymore. Sir? His assistant stammered, eyes wide. Is that real? Naeem didn't answer. He was already moving, sprinting down the corridor toward the cryovaults. They weren't ready. No one was ready. Because the Black Star wasn't a ship. It was a myth made of steel, and Earth had promised, to never wake it again. Meanwhile, aboard the Leviathan Argus Prime, Commander Ilara Brand studied a classified uplink. Her brow furrowed as the final lines decrypted. She inhaled sharply. "It's moving," she said. Her AI, Mora, responded instantly. "Confirming activation signature. Yes, the Black Star is in motion." Ilara didn't speak for several seconds. Her pulse quickened. How long until visual acquisition? Mora's voice for once sounded uncertain. "Unknown. It doesn't move like our ships." Outside her viewport, the Martian war machines had begun assembling into formation. But now, even they paused. Sensors across Mars pinged the same thing. A gravity dip, a deep space fold, like something enormous had just blinked into existence somewhere far beyond Pluto. Far from the council chambers, in the hidden chamber of a Valari intelligence cruiser, Admiral Drenvak read the latest. Intercepted Earth signal. His blood ran cold. "Impossible," he whispered. "That ship was dismantled after the fall of Sol." His aide leaned closer. "If it even existed to begin with." Drenvak looked at the stars, his voice hollow. "It existed. I saw the wreckage once. You know what the humans said when we found it?" He closed his eyes, recalling the moment. The silence. The wreckage that still glowed from a war long buried. They told us. That wasn't the Black Star. That was its shadow. In deep space, surrounded by silence and ancient dust, the hull of a behemoth hummed. The Black Star stirred. It didn't launch. It didn't broadcast. It didn't announce itself. It simply opened its eyes. Twin black suns gleamed beneath layers of neutron armor. Its engines didn't burn. They consumed. It moved not like a vessel, but like a thought, sliding through the void without resistance. And as it turned toward the stars, one name pulsed through its ancient systems. Juno, the colony that cried for help, the colony Earth had not forgotten. On Titan's windswept outpost, Sergeant Lane Ashford lit a cigarette with shaking fingers. The feed had just come in. He watched, again and again, as the Black Star's silhouette eclipsed a distant star. No light, no noise, just that shape, impossibly massive, impossibly fast. "It's real," he muttered. Private Neela stood behind him, barely breathing. "They told us it was decommissioned, that we scrapped it for the treaty." Ashford exhaled. "We did. Then we buried the pieces where even Earth wouldn't find them. But it still came back." He crushed the cigarette with his boot. "Which means we didn't build that ship to serve us." He looked at the stars. "We built it to remember us." Across the Solnet, the encrypted neural mesh still pulsing silently from old Terran satellites, an old signal looped again. "All hands report to protocol Gravewalk, no coordinates. No password." Every Terran-born AI, regardless of distance, blinked. They knew, and one by one, they began to activate their other protocols. The ones written not in code, but in sacrifice. In the abandoned wreckage fields of Neptune's third ring, a scout drone reactivated. Its last memory had been the Battle of Eridani, a graveyard of fleets. Now it rose again. The word flashing on its core, return. The council couldn't make sense of what was happening. Too many ghost signals, too many moving anomalies, and every Terran ping that should have gone dark years ago was awake. Why aren't they communicating? Shouted one analyst in the Valari Council's war chamber. They are, said the Shadari cryptographer, voice trembling. We just never bothered to learn how their old war code feels. What do you mean, feels? The analyst turned her screen. On it, over and over again, repeated one chilling message in ancient human script. You asked. We remember. On Mars, the Leviathan shifted. Commander Alara watched as they moved without direct instruction. Aligning, preparing, almost reverent. Mora, she asked slowly, are they responding to the Black Star? No, the AI replied. They're recognizing it. Alara swallowed hard, like a king, like a god. And in deep space, the Black Star kept moving, silently, deliberately. It passed a planetary graveyard, an asteroid base that had once betrayed Earth during the final days of the Sol rebellions. No weapons, no threat, but the Black Star stopped anyway, paused, and with a pulse of gravitational compression, it erased the base from existence. Not exploded, not vaporized, erased, nothing left, not even memory, and still, it said nothing. They're not coming to negotiate, Admiral Drenvak whispered aboard his Valari command ship. They're coming to finish the sentence we interrupted a century ago. What sentence? His aide asked, terrified. Drenvak's jaw clenched. This is what we built to keep peace. He turned away from the screen, the light of the Black Star reflecting in his eyes. And now, they're reminding us what happens when peace is broken. Juno hung shattered in orbit, its once green continents now cratered and bleeding heat into space. The atmosphere half burned, a city still flickering with emergency lights like a dying heartbeat. And above it all came the shadow. The Kerr. Black Star arrived without ceremony. No warp flash, no energy surge. Just gravity bending like it wanted to kneel. No transmissions, no sirens. Just the cold, awful hum of something far too large to exist. The survivors on the surface looked up and saw the sky change color. A darkness with form, with presence, with memory. A child whispered, "Is that help?" Her mother didn't answer. In orbit, the Valari gunship stationed above Juno didn't react at first. Their sensors barely registered the object, until everything stopped. Engines failed, comms dropped, even thoughts, shaky, panicked, began to slip, like their very reality bent around the approaching warship. Captain Trevak of the Valari fleet gripped his control console. Identify the object. His AI tried, failed. Then with slow horror whispered, "That is not a ship. That is Black Star." Trevak's mouth went dry. There were stories, he said, about Sol, about something Earth built that refused. Orders, ignored treaties, answered only to crisis. He watched it drift closer, not fast, not loud, but inevitable. "It's not coming for diplomacy," the AI said, voice low. "No," Trevak whispered. "It's coming for the record." On the ground, survivors pointed toward the heavens, not in fear, not in awe, but in recognition, because humanity didn't forget its own, and the old machines never forgot why they were born. In the Council's low crisis core, every sensor pointed toward Juno. Dozens of fleets mobilized, commanders shouting into voided channels. But the Black Star didn't react. It simply lowered a single projection. Thin, silver precise into Juno's upper atmosphere. A construct unfolded, rectangular, ancient, etched with coordinates, timelines, casualty ledgers. It was a ledger, a history of the colony, names of those who lived, who died, who sent the call, and beneath it one cold line: Earth does not abandon its own. Valari Fleet Command finally tried to act. Their lead cruiser launched a plasma barrage. The weapons disintegrated before reaching half-distance. Then, the Black Star rotated slowly, deliberately. No visible weapon ports, no targeting systems, just a pulse. Time stretched. Then, gone. The cruiser disappeared, not exploded, not shattered, removed. The other ships fell silent. So did the Council. Back on Mars, the Leviathans aligned in salute, arms raised toward deep space. Commander Alara stood on her deck, voice raw. They didn't fire. They just unmade a warship. Mora whispered, "This is not retaliation. This is ritual." In space, the Black Star sat alone. One ship, one grave marker, one warning written across the stars. Never again. Admiral Vex stood in the war nexus of the Valari Empire, flanked by diplomats, strategists, and synthetic tacticians. The air was thick. Tension, disbelief, denial. Juno's attackers had been erased. The cruiser, flagship of a proud fleet, didn't explode. It vanished. No debris, no energy residue, not even radiation decay, the sensor chief stammered. Vex, gaze stayed locked on the holomap. "Then we're not dealing with weapons," he murmured. "What then?" asked the prime strategist. Vex's voice dropped. "Judgment." Across the galaxy, responses varied. The Ogren Enclave called it a trick. The Lorthari Collective claimed it was quantum hallucination. The Kailari swore the Black Star was a decoy, an illusion to bait the arrogant. But deep in the databanks of Earth's surviving diplomats, an encrypted frequency activated on its own. Black Star Directive Protocol, ERO 1, transmission burst. Galactic-wide. Only 4 words. Request denied. We remember. In the Empire's propaganda chambers, spin teams rushed. The humans retaliated emotionally, one declared. It proves their instability. But footage from Mars, Juno, and now Neptune showed no emotion, no broadcast, no human face, screaming, for justice. Only machines. Silent. Coordinated. Terrifyingly calm. As if this was not vengeance. As if this was expected. In one of the lesser-known moon outposts of the Shadari Fold, a half-drunk ex-intelligence analyst named Ferrick watched the footage loop for the 100th time. He downed another drink. "Damn fools," he muttered to himself. "We thought they built weapons." He paused, shook his head. They built reminders. On board, the Leviathan Argus Prime, Ilara paced. Her crew was tense, each console feeding fresh reports of ships withdrawing from Terran sectors. No battle, no negotiations, just retreat. "You seeing this, Mora?" "Yes," the AI replied. "The galaxy is blinking." "Why?" Ilara asked. "We haven't even threatened anyone yet." Mora paused. "We didn't have to." They saw what the Black Star didn't say. Ilara turned toward the window, watching as new red pulses blinked alive across deep space. Ancient human tech syncing with the reawakened giant. "They understand now," she said. Mora's voice dipped to a near whisper. "They remember, and they fear that we don't forget." And far above them all, the Black Star moved again. No course filed, no declarations. It simply drifted across the stars, and with each system it passed, abandoned bases flickered awake, old Terran symbols, glowing softly on their hulls, not to attack, not yet, just on to be seen, to remind, to whisper, "This silence is your last kindness." The Kailari throne chamber was chaos wrapped in gold. High Lord Vesitar slammed his gauntlet into the comm table. "The council dithers. The humans insult us with silence again, and you would have us wait?" His advisors bowed, fearful. But one dared speak. "My lord, with respect, they've erased ships without warning. They've awakened machines we don't even understand." "Then we break their silence," Vestar snarled. "Let them finally speak back." He turned. "To the chamber AI. Target their outer relay network. Strike Europa. A scalpel, not a hammer." Across the stars, fleets shifted uneasily. Everyone watched. And in the dark near Jupiter, Europa blinked red. "Outpost Argon Halo. Where the Black Star had stirred was struck by precision Kalari missiles. No civilian casualties, just tech damage. Just enough to say, we are not afraid. But fear wasn't the problem. Memory was. 2 hours later, no human response. Kalari news channels ran proud headlines. Kalari strikes Earth, no retaliation. Terran myth crumbles beneath Kalari might. Human silence broken. Warship bluffed. For 8 hours, they gloated, until the stars over Kalari Prime disappeared. It was not sudden, it was eclipsing. The skies turned black. Not night, but presence. The Black Star had arrived above a homeworld without a word, no announcement. No demand, just a flicker of its shadow across the Capitol towers. Inside the command bunker, Vesitar screamed, "Shields, all of them! Ready our planetary disruptors!" The AI didn't respond. It had shut itself down, not out of sabotage, but out of recognition. The Black Star had arrived and the machine knew. There was no protocol for this. Kalari defense cannons fired. Their mightiest war satellites ignited. Barrages rained toward the looming shape above. None connected, none missed. They simply didn't arrive. The space between weapons and the ship bent, like time itself refused to participate. And then, just one move. The Black Star unfolded a panel. From its hull, not a gun, not a cannon, a mirror. It reflected the Kalari attack, perfectly preserved, and sent it back. No flare, no vengeance, just return. Kalari's own fire rained down upon its cities. By morning, 23% of the planet's surface was glass. The rest, silent. In the aftermath, a single message was broadcast from the Black Star. "We did not speak first. You insisted." Then it vanished, not cloaked, not warped, just gone. Back in the council hall, no one spoke. Not Elira, not Drenvak, not even Elder Rin. Because now they understood the new doctrine of Earth. Silence was not peace. Silence was the countdown. The grand hall of the Galactic Council had never felt smaller. Not with its towering obsidian pillars, not with its banners stretching across the domed heavens, but with every seat filled by leaders who were no longer leading, just trembling. A holomap spun slowly above them. Kalari Prime, burning. Europa, silenced. Juno, defended without a whisper. And now, the Black Star was untraceable again. "They're ghosts," someone muttered. "That thing doesn't move like a ship, it moves like regret." Elder Rin stood. Again. And this time, no one interrupted him. "We poked a sleeping god," he said, quietly. And then accused it of waking up angry. Councillor Trazin of the Threx Dominion slammed his fist on the table. "Then we surrender. Draft a joint treaty, offer reparations, shut down military projects, anything to prove we're no threat." A murmur of support. But then, Councillor Voss of the Solari block stood. Her voice was not panicked. It was precise. Surgical. "What if we make them forget?" Eyes turned. Voss smiled thinly. "They're not omniscient. They respond to signals, protocols, patterns. What if we scrub every colony, every file, every AI that ever participated in anti-Terran action?" She stepped forward, eyes gleaming. "We erase the memory so Earth doesn't remember." Drenvak flinched. "You'd rewrite history just to avoid a war?" Voss turned slowly. "We're not avoiding a war, Admiral. We're avoiding extinction." But deep beneath Luna's crust, far from the Council's reach, Earth had already decrypted. The Council's private channel. Not hacked, just listened. A machine voice spoke into the darkness of a Terran vault. Deception logged. Council statement archived. Another voice replied. Quieter, older. Observation sufficient? No. Pattern repetition likely. Then prepare memory retrieval. Silence, and then, let's remind them again. Elsewhere, aboard Leviathan Argus Prime, Elara Brand stood watching solar flares ripple beyond Mars. Her crew had grown quiet. In recent hours, sobered not by loss but by witnessing. "You heard what the council's debating," she said. Mora, her AI, replied, "Yes, they wish to rewrite their involvement." "Think it'll work?" "No," Mora said. "Not because they can't, but because it doesn't matter." Ilara blinked. "Why?" Mora's voice held a strange finality. "Because the Black Star doesn't remember facts. It remembers names." Back in the council, Trazen shouted, "This is madness. We can't play games with beings who no longer use diplomacy." Voss leaned in. "They never did." Then, a sound. All devices, all comms, all screens, blacked out. A single message pulsed on every frequency. "There is no forgiveness. Only record. We heard you erase. We remember what you tried to forget." A new location appeared on the map. A Deep Space Council archive. Secret. Hidden. Off-grid. Until now. The Black Star was already en route. The archive was never meant to be found. It drifted in sector null, shielded behind false star charts and quantum masking. No comms, no beacons. Only accessed by blood-bound encryption and generational clearance. This was where the Council buried its mistakes, and where it buried Earth's agony. Inside, Curator Vaccine moved with frantic urgency. His gloved hands danced across translucent consoles, eyes wild. Purge the Veltraxis report. Delete the Tyrus transcripts. Strip the Juno records down to weather logs. His assistants obeyed, half shaking, half silent, because overhead, something massive had just arrived. Outside, the Black Star halted, not hovering, just existing. Its hull was still. No weapons deployed, yet inside the archive, gravitational anomalies caused data cores to rupture. Lights flickered. Time seemed slower, as if the ship wasn't preparing to strike. It was waiting. Back on Mars, Ilara Brand watched the archive's position light up in red across Terran systems. "Did we mark that?" she asked. Mora's voice was calm. "We didn't need to. The Black Star stores its own ledger." Ilara frowned. "How far back?" "All of it." In the archive, Vaccine whispered to the AI, "Override, emergency wipe, total systemic burn." The AI resisted. Authority override required. Human Council protocol. Vaccine's eyes widened. "What?" The AI repeated. "Human Council protocol. Logged. Active." Before Vaccine could scream, the archive's artificial gravity collapsed. Documents turned to light, walls trembled, and then the Black Star opened. Not with a weapon, with a projection, a golden scroll. Floating, unrolled, ancient. Carved in Terran script no one in the archive had ever seen before, except one, a survivor of Tyrus. An old man. He looked up from the shadows, eyes wide. "It's not just a ship." Everyone turned. "What is it?" The old man wept. "It's a verdict. From the ambassadors dissected. Colonies stripped of air just to test endurance. The Council had called it containment. Earth had called it betrayal, and the Black Star had not forgotten." A single line echoed through the archive halls, vibrating. "In bone and steel, you tried to bury us, but we were seeds." Then, with zero light and zero sound, the archive simply unraveled. Not exploded. Not deleted. Unwritten. As if history itself obeyed Earth now. In the Council, panic shattered diplomacy. The map showed a blank void where the archive used to be. Someone whispered, "They're not erasing the present." "No," another muttered. "They're rewriting the past to remind us who we really are." The message didn't co-scroll. Earth's final record was spoken, not in voice, but in memory. Cities scorched, .me through military channels. It didn't arrive cloaked in encryption, or on frequencies tied to power. It came on old, radio bands .am to FM, the kinds of waves used by forgotten civilizations and backwater colonies. And it carried only one thing, a voice. Human, rough, weathered, unmistakably real. "If you can hear this," the voice said, "you were never the enemy." It echoed across the void. If your world was left behind, if they told you the Council didn't have the ships or the time or the permission, know this. Earth remembers. Across the shattered remains of the Juno colony, the survivors wept. On Aurelis 3, a mining colony abandoned mid-evacuation by the Council, children pointed at the stars, mouths open. On Drask, a world that once tried to resist and was silenced. In record time, the elders wept openly as the signal reached them through scavenged receivers. The message continued. We are not coming to rule. We are not coming to save you. We are coming to say, you were never alone. Back on Mars, Ilara stood in the comms chamber of Leviathan Argus Prime. The Black Star had sent the message on its own, unauthorized, unprompted, but not uninvited. It's not threatening them anymore, she said. Mora responded. It never was. Ilara looked at the Black Star hovering in the sky above. It was always speaking to the forgotten, not the powerful. In the Valari Empire, riots broke out. Old war logs surfaced. Mass graves were uncovered. Council betrayals could no longer be hidden because Earth's machines had transmitted proof to everyone. Not propaganda, just memory, unedited, undeniable, the kind that didn't fade. Back in the Council chamber, someone screamed, "Shut it down!" But they couldn't, because the signal didn't come from the Black Star anymore. It was relayed from Terran satellites, from old colonies, from the people. And in that moment, Earth wasn't feared, it was believed. Because, in a galaxy of deception, Earth had done the unthinkable, told the truth, and the truth spread like wildfire.